Right. It's 2 p.m. if you're with me on the East Coast at least. Welcome everybody who's here so far. I figure I'll just get going today. It's a going to be about 30-minute session of me blabbing at y'all, followed by 15 minutes. I'm going to throw everybody in here into a breakout room. Everybody who makes it to the end and wants to stay for some just like getting together with other SDR leaders, really open conversation. Want to create a little space for us to just talk with each other about what's going well, what's working, where we're challenged. Think about it like a kind of support group for SDR leaders, a little safe space for us at the end. So if that sounds like your jam, please stay tuned in for that and join in if you prefer to be off camera. When we go to that, I'll give a reminder at the end before we jump in there too. Absolutely welcome either way. But welcome to this SDR Leader Classroom. This is my fifth classroom that we're doing here. This one's going to be different than the ones I've done in the past. If you attended any of mine in the past, they were definitely much more technical, maybe a bit in the weeds at some points, and showing kind of how I run things using UserGems as a sort of outbound command center. We're not going into all of that today. This is not going to be a showing you the product I use or anything like that sort of session. This session today really came from I talk to other SDR leaders a lot, whether that be, oops, I see somebody in the chat, and I'm going to try to keep it's gonna be good. Hell yeah, Dave. Thanks. So please drop anything in the chat as I go along. I will try to keep an eye. It's just me kind of managing this whole thing. So forgive me if it takes me a second, but I'll be jumping back and forth, check the chat. But today came forth basically from I talk to other SDR leaders all the time, whether it be in the awesome SDR Leaders of USA group. Shout out to Dave there. Or whether it be I talk to a lot of prospects of UserGems, meet with other SDR leaders and kind of hear about their challenges and share like what's been working for me and what I'm doing. I also meet with our customers. So awesome. I saw we definitely have some customers sign up for this call too. So great to have y'all here too. So I wanted to bring to this today and put this all together because I find myself having similar conversations a lot. I find myself like talking to other SDR leaders that are at some point of this transition period of moving into this, what I call kind of the new way of outbound. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So whether you're somebody who's just kind of trying to wrap your head around this of like, what are things going to look like in the future? How are other orgs doing this today? Because things have definitely changed in the past couple of years. So that's what we're going to be focusing in on. I hope everybody gets something out of it. And like I said, please stay tuned to the end if you have the time for the last 15 minutes to just get together and talk about what's going on for all of us, not just me. So, all right, let's get going with this. And thanks again for everybody taking time out of your day to hang out with me and the rest of all of you. So again, this session came from meeting with others like you, others like me. So I wanted to share this with the larger community of what I find myself sharing with other leaders who are usually somewhere, like I said, along that transition point or a transitionary period. Quick question as we get rolling, and just so I don't want anybody to be shy about the chat. So if you have thoughts or feelings about this, please throw in the chat. But just who's actively here, who's actively using AI tools on their team right now? How many of you? I'm assuming, hopefully, probably everyone at this point, but I'd love to hear from y'all. And how many feel like it's actually working the way that you had hoped that it would work? So just getting the ball rolling in the conversation going here. Yeah, it looks like most people are using AI tools at this point. Anyone else have panic earlier today with Claude being down? Anyone else have a really interesting first half of your day, realizing how much you're using it now? Might just be me, but I definitely had that morning. All right, let's keep going. Oops, sorry, I'm going backwards. Let's go forwards. Um, so I'm definitely not here to tell y'all that AI is magically going to fix your pipeline. If you haven't figured that one out already, sorry, alert. It's not quite magic like that. But I do think, and what I see is teams are really shifting um, with the fundamentals right now. And the teams that are diving into that shift and diving forward and really embracing this and spreading it and kind of flipping things on their head a bit, those are the ones I'm seeing winning a lot and kind of moving really fast. They stopped trying to manage reps doing outbound and started really running outbound as a whole system that feeds reps. So this is the big change that we're going to be talking about today. That's really the whole thing. Everything else we talk about today is going to really flow from that core concept. Um, yeah, some better than expected there, Corey. Some not so much. Yeah, I can relate to that. I think a lot of us can probably relate to that as far as AI tools working the way we expected. So this is probably where your reps day, your teams day looks the most different now. Things in this stop column over here just are just more low value at this point. They're work that we can now remove almost entirely. So there are the tools out there, there are the things to just get this off your team's plate, which just gives you such a like jump ahead advantage once you move into that. So when reps aren't having to source their own accounts, when they're not having to build sequences, they get like so much time back in their day. The double down really is where the human edge still lives. Like we still need our teams for all those people saying that we weren't going to. I'm hoping we're past that. I think everybody's realized like, no, we still need our human beings. We still need our teams. Calls, discovery, relationships, all of that still relevant, still important. So the reps that are getting really good in this double down column over there are the ones who are becoming harder and harder to replace. And that's what we really want to be training for and investing in and developing in our teams at this point. So this is really the mindset shift I had to go through personally. And this is the one that I see so many others kind of in the middle of or coming out the other end of at this point. And then there's still a lot, to be honest, a lot of people I talk to that are still struggling to get there or just in the beginning of kind of realizing that this is the direction they need to go. And it can be a bit overwhelming at first. So most teams that I'm talking to, really the majority of them still have reps doing a lot of the sourcing and a lot of the sequencing and decision making as far as like who to work and which accounts to work. But the thing, like now we have all of these reliable tools to completely turn that on its head. And I think that's really what we have to do now in order to stay relevant, in order to keep producing what our companies expect and need for us to produce. So for our roles as well as for our team's roles and for their sake too. So when you take the job as an SDR leader, when you take the job of running the system instead of just focusing on running the team, building the campaigns yourself, defining the targeting, setting the volume, like figuring out what the right volume is for your size of team and how your team works, your reps' entire days change, like completely changes what the day to day for an SDR looks like. So they don't anymore have to figure out where to start. They don't have to make all these micro decisions that really slow down their day and complicate things. They're just executing. They're just staying in execution mode all day long. Whether that be like cold calling, whether it be LinkedIn messaging, whatever area works best, whatever channel works best for your team, your team, your company, your prospects, wherever that is, they just spend all of their time there in the execution piece. So that also means that the quality of your decisions at the top of the funnel matters a ton. Like now the weight is on your shoulders. There's no more like blaming, well, my team didn't do this, or like they're not doing what I told them, they're not following, they're not using the right sequences, they're not picking the right prospects. Like that is yours. You get to own that now. Which is also like a heavy weight to carry, but it's also puts you in more of the position of control over your own destiny, over your own numbers, over hitting your own targets, which is actually a good thing. It means that you're in the driver's seat for the results that you're looking to achieve. All right. So percentage breakdown first before I get into this. Like, just know this is a rough percentage breakdown. By no means like exact math happening here. Not set in stone, but your mileage is going to vary by team size, of course, and where you are in this sort of build or this transition into working this way. But the shift is very real. Most SDR leaders used to spend the majority of the time on rep management, activity review, all of those things. If you're running the system well at this point, if you're using tools to take that part away, those things just take so much less time. The feedback loop, I think, is where a lot of people that I've spoken to, or it's really the point that I try to drive home the most with everyone, because I've learned as I've gone through this transition myself, that this is the part that like really matters. It's like underestimated how much it matters. Um, it feels like maybe like overhead or maybe like a bit much to constantly be pushing for feedback and have that feedback loop with your team, but it's actually what makes the whole thing get better over time as well as get better immediately. So when you're first setting things up and first transitioning into this sort of new structure of outbound, having that feedback loop from the beginning is going to make a lot of difference. I'm going to talk about more about that because I just can't like I can't drive that one home enough. So, um genuinely I wish like I had known this going in. I had to kind of learn as I went how important this was. But now it's really locked in solid for me. So it's not just about adoption. It's not just about the launch moment, although it is super important at that point. When I first set everything up, I spent hours every day in the first few weeks. A lot of that was getting AI writing the way I wanted it to. A lot of that was fine tuning targeting, things like that, making sure that I'm seeing the kind of accounts, the right accounts come bubble up for my team. It was like making sure that our personas and our titles were honed in, because if I'm taking this off my team's responsibility to do, I want to make sure I'm doing a good job for them. But also big part of that was them helping me with that. So we had a Slack channel for feedback team. I was very clear, like good, bad, ugly. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Like I want to know everything. Please be whiny, right? I want you to be whiny. So my reps would flag messages that fell off or an account that shouldn't be targeted. They would just anything that come back, they would give it to me, and then I would fine tune on the back end of the system from their feedback. What happened with that too was it made the implementation part and the trust. It really built the trust with the team because they knew that they were still important. They knew their feedback was important and that I was considering them to be the experts, right? So it really changed the dynamic. It went from, maybe more of a place of fear and maybe some resistance about moving, taking all of the control out of their hands of, some reps feel like this is the part I'm really good at, or like this is where my value lies. And so there's a retraining all of that and a development of new skills and new value there too that has to happen. So I think the feedback loop and just making sure that their voices are still heard and that they see how important it is, that what they think is what is being used to train the system really builds that trust in there, and gets them to want to keep speaking up and feel like their job's not being taken away from them really. But this way it's like nothing's being taken away from me. I'm actually being given a tool that is my assistant that's going to make my job easier and make me more productive and more effective. So volume check as well as a part of this feedback loop, super important. It's something we do on a weekly basis. You're not asking reps to find their own pipeline anymore. So like I don't ask my team at all. I don't tell them they have to sequence this many people a week or anything like that because they're not doing that. I'm making sure that happens. So on their end, I'm checking in with them like, do you have enough volume? Are you, working enough people? Or are you drowning? Like let me know if it's too much, and then I can pull back on the back end to make sure that we find that sweet spot. So that's really a weekly check-in for me. So basically like my job, your job to stay on top of that for them to make sure they're getting what they need. All right, so this is probably coaching and KPIs biggest shift in the day-to-day conversations with the team of what it used to look like versus what it looks like today. So we used to spend so much time coaching on whether reps did a thing, right? Did you do the thing? Did you find the accounts? Did you find the prospects? Did you add them to the CRM? Did you sequence them? Why is your activity low? All of that probably sounds familiar to a lot of people here. So none of that is really a conversation anymore. My reps don't source, they don't sequence. So if the numbers are off, that's a system problem, which is a me problem. I go fix it. So instead, what do we talk about? What are we doing now? Because we're not coaching to that anymore. So instead, we're talking about what actually happened on the call. This is where like this big leveling up can happen when your team, when you switch to working this way and take this weight off of their shoulders. Now you can focus on discovery. You can focus on like them developing these bigger skills that are gonna work for them throughout their career, right? And then the next steps of their career. So um we look at what signals did you reference on the call. We want to make sure that they're calling out the signals that they have in front of them on those accounts, on those prospects, and we're digging into like how they respond to that. Are we talking about it in the right way? What do you think's actually going on at this account? We fully coach to signals now instead of full talk tracks. We completely threw away cold calling scripts. And we just make sure our team's really comfortable with how to talk about each signal that we're tracking, right? So any signal and any new one that we add, that's a new thing that we're going to coach to. KPI wise, connect to conversion rate matters way more to me than raw dial count does. And meeting quality, did it move? Did it flip? Did it move down the funnel? Is how I know that our targeting is actually working. So those are things I really care about now, and that I track on a regular basis. Like, what are our conversion rates? Are we hitting the right places? Because again, I'm not asking them to figure it out. I'm figuring it out. So I need to keep an eye on that and make sure that I'm having them call and spend their time on the right people. All right. One of my favorite subjects is incentives. This is actually partially what inspired this class, was talking to another leader about incentives. So incentive design is something I've spent a ton of time thinking about and working on. And I kept running into over time that financial rewards alone don't always move the needle the way that you think they would, right? Anyone else, please throw in the chat if you've experienced this too. Like, I hire for money motivation. I don't know about y'all, but I look for that. I believe salespeople should be money motivated. I'm money motivated. I expect my team to be, but that's not the only motivator for any of us, I think. So it's important to keep that in mind when you are incentivizing. And there's also like at some point there's a thing where you just kind of go numb to it when you're just like throwing money at them, throwing money at them, throwing money at them, and expecting, them to jump at that. It doesn't work after a while. Everyone just kind of numbs out like, oh, okay, here's another $100. So what I found worked over time is when you bundle the reward. When you're looking at like money, still a motivator, right? But not alone. Money plus recognition and like a career moment all tied together, because each one does something differently and each person has different motivations, right? Different things that really speak to them. So this hits on the main things that most people are motivated by. um, so public recognition changes behavior, and the career moment is what actually makes the rep remember this, right? Sticks with them. The other big shift for us was making sure that we were rewarding the right things, right? Not just volume. We're not just talking volume anymore, but behaviors that actually matter in this new environment. So, signal based outreach, quality meetings, not just like, did you make your 80 calls or whatever. And then making wins visible, making them really visible. This can be seriously underrated, I think. Sharing what's working. I think people talk about it a lot, but don't necessarily put it into practice with their teams a lot. Reps repeat what gets noticed, right? They repeat, and we all learn from repetition too. So you want to like have this constant feed of what's working. And we all know, like, in the world of sales development, what's working can change rapidly, can change week to week. So that having that constant feed, super important. You also don't want to be like, you as a leader, I don't think, are doing yourself justice or your team justice if you're the only one who's seeing their wins. Like, you should not be the only one who sees what's going on, what's going well for your team. So, which brings me to the next slide, which is we built all of this into one thing that's actually worked very, very well for us. So, this is the real life example for you of what this can look like. So, for us, every time a rep books a meeting, whether that be over email, on the phone, on LinkedIn, whatever, it doesn't matter the channel for us. They post it into our Slack channel that's called ADR Winning. That's our little share channel, for any time they get a meeting booked, right? And it's not just like, I booked a meeting. They don't just share, I booked a meeting. You can see here, these are examples from this week, from my team, of them sharing some of their wins. So they share the context around it. You can see their bullet points where they take the time to actually write about what happened. And they share what they sent. If they sent an email, then they're sharing a screenshot of that. If it was a cold call, then they're sharing the link to the recording, right? Whatever it is. They also share a screenshot of our Chrome extension here, which is showing all the different signals that were going on that prospect when they called them, when they got this booked. So at the end of the week, whoever posted the most wins, they get $100, right? So that's the like money motivation part. But the part that I think makes a really big difference is the winner also presents their highlights at the Monday company stand up. So we have an all hands, a full company stand up every Monday morning. And this gets them like FaceTime in front of the whole company, also gets them comfortable with speaking about like what they did, the good work that they've done. So they get to show off a little bit, right? And they can hone in on one specific win if they want to get into detail about one, or they can share like, overall, this is what was working for me. It's really up to them. Some of my team too have taken to sharing a tip with the whole company along with this too, which has been kind of fun. So when this started, when we started doing this, two things happened really fast for us. The channel got more competitive in a fun way. And also our newer reps started to learn from it almost immediately. So they're like glued to it. Now it's become part of our onboarding too, of like, go study the winning channel, because that's where you're gonna find what's working and how to learn what to do really quickly. Also, the signal visibility, that part where I said like they screenshot what signals were going on the account and on the prospect level, that helps me as a leader too with my targeting when I'm building things in the systems to see what signals I want to look for, what I want to score higher, what I want to prioritize there. That's my feedback loop for that as well. So I can look at that channel and see what's converting and why, and see like trends that are happening too. So if you're not today doing something like this, please just steal it. If you want it from me afterwards, if you want me to send this slide deck, I'm happy to send it. Or if you want me just to send a little like synopsis of what we do, happy to do that too. Another one that I'll share, I don't have a slide about this one, but another one that I'll share that I started doing a year ago, that's kind of fun too, is I've started a quarterly team-wide spiff twice a year, where if the team hits their total target, meaning like each person on your team has their own individual quota, add it as if every person on the team hit their quota, that number, that number. If the team hits that number, regardless if one person doesn't hit quota or one person goes over, whatever, if they hit that overall number, then I give the whole team a day off. And I cover for my entire team, including our team manager. So I kind of threw this out there last year, not thinking it would be such a motivator. Shockingly motivational to my team. And now I have a lot of different people in my team from the time I did it the first time. First time was super successful. Everybody jumped. They way hit the target out of the water. I ran this one again in Q1, and again, my team has had a day off. So this is one I plan to continue doing 2 times a year. If you haven't offered your team a day off, I definitely recommend it. You'd be surprised, like the fire it puts under them. They really want you to work instead of them, it turns out. All right. So I'm a little bit ahead of schedule, about 3 minutes. But I am very excited for breakout time, breakout session. But before we jump in there, I'll give a chance for a couple of minutes. If anyone has any questions for me from anything I went over today, please feel free to throw in the chat and I'll be happy to answer. And if I don't see any questions, then we'll just go ahead and jump into the breakout room. Like I said, if you don't want to be on camera, totally understand. You don't have to be. Feel free to join with your camera off, but I'd still love you to join and would love to hear from you and hear what's going on for you right now. Gabrielle, I'm so great. Sorry you have to pop, maybe next time, but thank you so much for joining. All right. Well, let's just go ahead then. I see some people have had to jump off, but we got some left. So let's jump into the breakout room and let's get to chatting. Let's see. It's the first time I'm doing it, so hopefully this works right for everyone. All right. All right. Copy of the slides, Sharon. Yes, I'm happy to get those to you.